Good morning, good morning. Happy Monday as always. I'm very excited today. I've got my very first video request, and it actually does tie into what I've been working on with the training of the mind. So today's request is fear, doing a video on how to help us all with fear. So I kind of have two parts, I guess, to this. One is going to be more of how we deal with fear in our lives as an individual. And then the second piece, I think just as important, if not maybe a little more so, is fear collectively right now in the world. So to start with, I wanted to just hit on really briefly the origin of fear, which I think intellectually is important to understand. Where did this little fear gene thing kind of come from? And it came from our ancestors. Way back in the day, we needed fear to stay alive or none of us would be here, right? There were predators, giant cats, snakes, things like that. That's all of it. I mean, other human beings. I mean, for God's sakes, when they discovered just what mushrooms you can and you cannot eat, right? I mean, it took some fear into that. You had to be fearful for the safety of your physical being, right? And I think that over many years, centuries, millennia maybe, we had to keep this thing. And it still does. This little gene or this reactive piece is still very much so alive today in humans. But here, at least in our country in America, we're not really in physical danger all that much. There are certainly physical dangers every day, getting in a car, things like that. But it's not like it used to be, right? Where every day I need to be very fearful of things, of my surroundings, because my physical being is in constant direct harm. So I think we can all agree, for the most part, where we live, it's not as much that thing anymore. But that reactive piece in our minds still exists. However, now it is addressed more to our individual psyche. So I'm not too worried each and every day, say, about going out and somebody causing me physical harm. There's not like a freaking tiger or something that's going to run out in the middle of the road and just eat me. At least I hope not each day. It's not really something I'm conscious of. But we do constantly worry about our psyche, even if it's not on the surface, right? A funny example I once heard is a fear we have is, say, being embarrassed in front of others, right? I was at a restaurant, somebody told a joke, I laughed kind of funny, and now I'm kind of afraid that people are going to think I'm weird or a dork or whatever it is. And I kind of really ran through that because I think as a baseline, it is important to understand that our fear in life is an evolutionary thing. We had to have that ingrained in us in order to survive. Because if we hadn't, there would not even be me doing this video right now or anybody to even listen to it. So I think that as a baseline is understanding, like it's something that we evolved with. But I think it is also something that we can evolve out of too. So as I have talked about in previous videos, once again, if you want any refreshers, go to our YouTube channel at Unity Through Wellness. And it was about the precepts that I talked about once. And the second one is that fear is a distraction and that fear deflects the truth, right? What is the truth? The truth is what is. The truth is that there is a tree behind me, right? It's my misperceptions of reality that causes fear and anger and suffering, right? So we can all agree that there is a tree right behind me. Some might think it's a beautiful tree. Some might think it's an ugly tree. Some might think it's beautiful in the backdrop of the sky. Some might think that it's in the way of seeing the buildings or the sky or something behind me, right? But these are all there are conceptions of reality. So I think that when it comes to fear, that's an important first starting point, is to understand that there is the facts, there is reality, and there's no fear and there's nothing attached to such a thing. It is what it is, as we like to say in our house. And then you have the stories that we create about it. Again, I love the story of saying, I have 2 cents in my savings account versus I'm ruined, my life is over, I'm going to be homeless, my child's going to starve, all these things, right? There is the reality of the situation, and then there is the story that we might have created out of fear. Now, how I have dealt with fear throughout my life is through a powerful concept that I got from the School of Philosophy of Stoicism, which is acceptance, right? Acceptance is an incredibly powerful tool. And I'm not saying that you have to be enjoying certain things in life or enthusiastic about certain things in life, but acceptance is an incredibly powerful tool. I can be pretty much unhappy with a situation or afraid, let's just say, of a situation. And if I accept it, you will notice something truly profound and truly powerful that happens. And I ask you guys, the next time that something comes up into your life that you're afraid of, practice acceptance with it and see what happens, because it is pretty daggone cool, where it's really hard to be crippling and paralyzed in fear of something when you're also accepting it. It's an incredibly powerful tool that I think is underutilized. And then something I do want to say is I don't think that we should necessarily be fearless in life at all either. I think that it's important, in my opinion, to choose your fear. And to give you a great example of this, and I've got this from both Stoicism, another guy I like to watch who's very intense, a guy named David Goggins. I got a little of this from him, but I'll tell you a little bit of a story. And I do apologize. I know this is going to be a little bit longer video, but I was really excited about this topic. I think it's something that is really cool to talk about. But here's what my fear is, because I got to make my fear. I get to pick my fear. And my fear is I've died. I'm going up to heaven, Jesus or whoever comes out and I'm standing there, and I like to pretend that this version of myself is the version of myself from high school, right? So I'm close to 300 pounds. I'm very lazy, very unconfident. I have social anxiety out the wazoo. I'm afraid of everything. And Jesus walks up, my name appears, Matthew Anthony Merriman. And he says to me, okay, Matthew Merriman, I'm 175 pounds, former athlete in multiple sports, United States Marine Corps infantryman who deployed overseas, came back, got a college degree, has a beautiful wife, has a beautiful little girl. He spends his time helping to train and to coach individuals to be in better shape, to improve their lives, to teach meditation, to master the mind, to spiritually liberate and enlighten other human beings. And I go, whoa, man, got the wrong guy. That ain't me. And he goes, oh no, that's who you were supposed to be. That's who you were born and created to be. But because you didn't put the effort in each and every day, you did not live up to your potential. And to me, that's the fear that I've chosen to embrace every day, that when my eyes open, it's like, all right, I get another shot at this to live up to some type of potential. My fear in life is wasting that potential. So fear can be this two-sided thing where it can be crippling and it can keep us from experiencing and truly living life. But it can also be this fire and this driving force to live with purpose at all times. That's what I think about fear with the individual. When it comes to fear within the actual world right now, again, I turn to a story I heard once of a reporter who interviewed a monk. And he said to the monk, sir, you're a monk, you spend your time doing monk things or what have you. Why is there so much anger and so much fear in the world? The monk responded, well, if I may, let me answer your question with a question. And he says, who are you? And the reporter says, well, I'm Matthew Merriman. Matthew Merriman. And he goes, no, that's your name, right? That's a convenience that we use for your physical form, right? We call this physical form Matthew Merriman, but it's not who you are. Who are you? And he answers again, I'm a 35-year-old male who's a reporter doing whatever. And he goes, again, you're just listing facts. And this goes back and forth, like, are my thoughts? No. Are my emotions? No. And this goes again and again and again. And then finally the reporter just lost, is like, I don't know who I am. And the monk says, that is exactly what's wrong with the world, is that nobody knows who they are. And I think that is, in general, why we as both individuals and as a society and a collective are so daggone afraid, is because we have not sat with ourselves for long enough to ask who we are. If you don't know who you are, this world is a terrifying place. You don't know what's going on. You don't even know who you are. So to end this video, I would love to say that it may be wise to ask yourself each day, particularly when you're afraid of something, who is it that is experiencing this fear right now? Who is afraid? And perhaps even more importantly in this moment, who knows this? If I say, I am afraid, I am afraid, I am afraid, who is afraid? And who knows that I am afraid? And if nothing else, I'm telling you right now, I very rarely say the word I guarantee, but I guarantee you, if you sit with your fear, if you just sit there with it, close your eyes and sit there with your fear, watch it, but do not get involved in it. Watch the fear within you. Like everything else in this world of form, it will pass. If you do not grab onto it, if you do not get involved into it, just let the fear be, then it will pass. And such a simple little action will bring you closest to the essence that you are. Thank you, guys. I hope it helps. Enjoy this week and this day. Goodbye.